What's up, guys? Mahmoud Khalil is still in the process of being deported, or maybe not. Maybe he won't be deported. Maybe he'll win this court case. But here's an incredible clip of Victor Davis Hanson breaking down the whole story and why Mahmoud Khalil, should be deported. And it's within Marco Rubio's complete right to do so.
There's been a lot of frenzy in the news about Mahmoud Khalil. He's a former Columbia University student who was here on a student visa and then has married an American citizen and has recalibrated his visa to a green card. He's an Algerian citizen who grew up in Syria and Palestine. Mr. Khalil, as the spokesman for Columbia University Apartheid Divest, has on numerous occasions supported groups that committed vandalism, that harassed Jews, and most importantly have called for the destruction of Western civilization and glorified a group that is designated by the U.S. State Department as a terrorist group. So the question is this. Hello, this is Victor Davis Hanson for the Daily Signal. There's been a lot of frenzy in the news about the detention of Mahmoud Khalil. He's a former Columbia University student who was here on a student visa and then has married an American citizen and has recalibrated his visa to a green card. He's an Algerian citizen who grew up in Syria and Palestine, and he's the spokesman for something at Columbia University called the Columbia University Apartheid Divest, in which it suggests that no university should allow any investments with the so-called criminal state, apartheid state, as they call it, of Israel. Now, he was deported because his activity is in contrast to what the State Department guidelines suggest, and that is simply that they do not want to issue visas, whether green cards or student visas or other sort of visas, to people whose activity is in contrast or against the interest of the United States foreign policy. As I'm speaking, Hamas, who engineered the October 7th, 2023 massacre, still holds 5 American citizens as hostages. They will not release them, apparently. They're on record for the last 25 years as a State Department designated terrorist organization. So the question is it fair for Mr. Khalil to go back to his home and lose his green card? The left and many on the libertarian right said this is a free speech issue. He can say whatever he wants. Yes, he was the spokesman for the Columbia University Apartheid Divest group. So what? He can say that he doesn't like Israel, that October 7th was a glorious occasion. And if you look at the literature of his organization, it's very clear that A, they have called October 7th a wonderful event, and B, in the past they've called for the eradication or destruction of Western civilization. Now, he may deny that, but that's what his organization has done. The president of Barnard University, the sister campus of Columbia University, about a week ago wrote an op-ed blasting Mr. Khalil's organization and said that they were responsible. That is, again, the Columbia University Apartheid Divest, of which he is their, I guess, official spokesman and negotiator, had caused over $30,000 of damage, vandalism to the Columbia-Barnard campus. They have on 2 occasions forcibly entered halls on the university campus and refused to leave. They have illegally encamped on campus grounds, refused to leave, and he was the negotiator. So the question is this. It's very simple. Does he have a right as a resident to speak and do whatever he wants? As long as it's not criminal, he does. Does the State Department have a right to consider whether to issue a visa or a renewal visa or a cancel visa, depending on whether the recipient is doing things in the interest of the United States, or I shouldn't say, is doing things contrary to the United States? And the answer is absolutely. Both sides are right. In other words, Marco Rubio and his State Department are just saying this. We issue thousands of visas to all sorts of people who say all sorts of things, and that's perfectly fine. Obnoxious, obscene, whatever they want to say under the First Amendment, because our courts have ruled that those who are residing in the United States have the same rights of free speech. However, we don't have to let people in the United States automatically. We make that decision on whether we feel they're in the interest of the United States or they pose a danger to the United States. So both sides are right. And all Mr. Rubio is saying is, Mr. Khalil, as the spokesman for Columbia University Apartheid Divest, has on numerous occasions supported groups that committed vandalism, that harassed Jews, and most importantly have called for the destruction of Western civilization and glorified a group that is designated by the U.S. State Department as a terrorist group. Now, he may deny that, but it's on record. Marco Rubio and the State Department put it in a pretty good way. They said it's something along the following lines, and I'm paraphrasing. If in 2022, when this Algerian citizen wanted to come to the United States as a guest and use our educational facilities to get a degree, and he had just said the following: I plan while I'm at Columbia to be part of the Columbia University Apartheid Divest Group, and I will condone or participate in takeovers of particular halls and facilities on the campus to prove my point or to advocate my position, which is to alienate, ostracize Israel. And if it comes up that there is another war in the Middle East, I will side with Hamas, a known terrorist organization, as the State Department has defined it. Do you really think that we would allow that visa to be issued? And the answer is no. So yes, he can say everything he wants, but his activity has consequences. It wasn't what he said, but it was what he did. And he now gets his wish. He can go back to the Middle East and be a strong advocate for Hamas in closer proximity to it. Thank you very much. This is Victor Davis Hanson for the Daily Signal.
Boom. Victor Davis Hanson. It's a very white man name.
Thank you
Victor
for
Davis
watching
Hanson.
today's podcast.
Victor Davis Hanson. Interesting. 100% true. Khalil is not being sent away on a First Amendment rights issue. He is basically, Marco Rubio is basically saying, if you would have told us you would have done this beforehand, we would have never allowed you in. And so we don't want you here. When you're on a student visa, this shouldn't be controversial. When you are on a student visa, you are now a very, very scrutinized guest, because it's not like, you're free home citizen, etc. You're just a guy on a student visa. You come here to learn at one of our greatest institutions, or formerly greatest institutions. You cannot practice terrorism and intimidate Jewish students and vandalize school halls and occupy buildings, etc., etc. So it should be obvious to anybody that understands basic law that he should easily be able to be deported. That's the power of the State Department, and I think Marco Rubio put it perfectly there. For more, subscribe to the channel. If you want to help us make more of these videos, you can go to buymeacoffee.com/JewishUncensored. Also, check out our memberships. We're making a lot of exclusive content, so check us out there as well. Thank you, and have a good one.